So yes, we're back with another episode. Today we have a lovely couple, both from the States.
Hello.
What's your names?
I'm Maya.
And I'm Andrew.
Andrew. Well, nice to have you here today. So, first of all, what brings you to this city?
Well, we just got here from Liverpool.
Manchester?
Before that, Manchester. And now we're heading to Italy with my family. And no special occasion except that, we never get together and everyone in my family is going. So we're off on another adventure together.
Okay. So you're from Italy?
No, we're actually from California.
We had it right from the States, yeah.
Okay,
California.
okay. All right. No, it's also looking at you look like you're Filipino or Thai.
Wow, you got Filipino. Wow, you're really good.
Well, I used to work with Filipinos on the ships. I used to
Really?
be on the ships for thing.
Wow.
But you do have a bit of a Thai flavor to you.
Yeah, I do get Thai, Filipino, sometimes Japanese, but that's so great that you guessed it right on the first try.
I wouldn't say Japanese though.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't say Japanese. It's different. Japanese have a bit more paler, a bit more, it's a bit more stern looking,
Yes,
more serious
yeah.
kind of thing.
I smile a lot, so, I'm definitely not Japanese.
Okay. So what do you two do for a living? And I take it you're a couple.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we just met today.
Yeah, it happens.
The ride figured to be cheaper.
Yeah, discount, Yeah, we are a couple.
Well, I'll go first since mine's short and easy. I just work for a utility company. I do electric design work.
Okay, that's good. M&E.
PG&E.
Oh yeah. I heard they changed it since.
Oh, it used to be M&E?
Yeah, it used to be mechanical and electrical.
Oh, no, yeah. No degree required, but it would just be electrical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, distribution engineer would be if I went to school and finished the 2-year degree. I was in school for biomedical engineering and ended up stopping early to make money, and I've been doing that since about 6 years now.
Thought about going back into it?
I've thought about it, but the thing for me is that you take out so much debt and it'd be another 2 years without making money. And so just the price difference and stuff, like maybe at some point in my life it'll be something I do, but now I've been pulled more towards podcasting and videography. So
you're podcasters?
Well, I'll let her take the story on that one.
Yeah, somewhat. So I'm a reporter. So I was a reporter in the North Bay, and I'm moving to LA for a new media job. But I'm working on this creative project. It's called the Deep Take Project, and it's just a media hub. There's podcasts, there's videos, but really it's focused on conversations that heal. And I started this during the pandemic, and really the whole focus is just being able to connect with people on a much deeper level, because I think that after the pandemic, and even before that, I think we were all really striving and desiring more connection. At a time where we're pretty separated because of technology, I think that a lot of us deep down are really craving that. Mm-hmm. So I know myself, I was craving that tremendously, and I still am. And so this project is really just me, kind of reaching out and wanting to connect with more people and being able to share their stories with others. So that's my project, and it's been really fun. I've been able to connect with a whole lot of people. I did a handful of interviews in the North Bay because I moved there about 2 years ago from Las Vegas, and that's how I met Andrew here. So we've been on this adventure together.
Were you interviewing him as part of your project at the start?
No.
No.
We met through trying to just date. Yeah, through a dating app. And
Tinder?
then Bumble.
Bumble
was the... Actually...
It was Tinder! It was Tinder! Don't stray them wrong.
So Tinder does work then?
It does. People say it doesn't.
No,
but...
Tinder works for Tinder.
Yeah.
You want to get your leg over, Tinder.
Exactly.
Wait, not that I know. Not that I know.
Not that you
It's
know.
only what I've heard.
Right, exactly.
But no, it's nice to see people. They say dating apps is the most easiest way and common way to meet people now.
Yeah.
People are like-minded.
Well,
Right.
what was funny is she didn't really have the intention so much of dating. She kind of was looking to just make friends and connect with people because she had just moved to the city and didn't know anybody out there. Yeah. And then I told her, I was like, I'm fine with that, but I'm also interested in looking to date. So It's so funny because we were like an hour and a half drive away from each other. Ended up planning our first date was like 3 weeks in advance because we were both just busy and stuff.
Yeah.
But ended up just
But that shows there's
working.
something solid there, though.
yeah.
Yes.
Because if you can be planned, a lot of people forget this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Well, what's funny is I had never used the Tinder app ever until I moved to the North Bay from Las Vegas, and I didn't know how to use the app. So I didn't know that you could actually adjust the distance.
That's so
That's why you came
Just
up.
happen chance.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you weren't supposed to come up because you
Yeah,
were an
really
hour
far
away.
away.
So
Yep.
it kind of worked out.
It did. Yeah, our first date was 12 hours long, and then our second date was the same thing. Completely different too. First date, like we just met wineries in Napa. I don't know if you're familiar with. It's like a wine country out there.
Together for the whole day then.
Yeah, we met early, kind of like a, late afternoon at a winery just to have drinks and just talk, and then ended up staying, walking around longer. Went to another winery. Found out she was really into music. Found a place that had live music. Went to that. Ended up just chatting until next thing you know, it was 12 hours later, and yeah. And then the next one was completely different. We went to a rave in San Francisco, and then ended up staying up until the sun came up and going to Denny's and that whole
fun.
deal. So that was a ton of fun.
I really liked that date.
Yeah,
that
I
was a
liked
really
that date a
fun
lot.
time.
Yeah.
You sound like you're gonna do the whole distance.
Well, so we did the distance for a while, and then
So when I say do the whole distance, meaning like
go the
whole
long
9
run.
yards.
Yeah. Well, whatever that means,
What's the whole 9 yards?
Whole 9 yards. I think it's actually American term because
It is.
Is actually not we don't use yards anymore.
Well, it's a military saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, in the old days, redcoats we had yards.
Right.
Yeah. But meaning whole 9 yards is a sense that you're going to go the full distance.
Yeah.
The full Monty.
The full Monty. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I love that movie. It's hilarious. But yeah, actually, my dad used to always tell me the phrase isn't a military phrase. So the machine guns, those chains of bullets were 9 yards long. So going the whole 9 yards meaning you sent all the rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So
Yeah.
it's military, so I like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
I know the saying, but I didn't know what you meant. What was the context of 9 yards?
Meaning that
Like-
the way your relationship, he talk about your relationships
Mhm.
and how it's going is like,
Yes.
get you two are solid. If that kind of foundation at the start
Yeah.
Yep.
is strong, like in the sense of construction, you've built some really solid foundations.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you could build a big skyscraper on the top.
Exactly.
It's gonna
Definitely.
last,
Yep.
Definitely.
you know?
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, and that was my thing too. Is like, I felt really early on that like we could, like there really was something there. It wasn't just your typical Tinder date, or just going to be a fling or something like that. So it's been 2 years now, and yeah.
And you're living together.
Yep, living together and here on a vacation with her family. And next step is moving down to LA. So we'll see what that next chapter is going to be like.
What's
Yeah.
the podcast called then?
It's called the Deep Take Project.
The Deep Take.
Yep. The Deep Take. Yep.
And currently just on YouTube and Instagram.
Instagram.
Did you start the TikTok?
Yeah, we're starting TikTok
Yeah, we'll
now.
start that
Are you
one.
going to do the Spotify?
So the podcast is on Spotify.
Oh, that's right.
Thus
Okay.
the podcast part. But I'm leading more into videos now because I think that, when I do these interviews, I like to see the person's emotions and face. So it's an overall media hub. So eventually I want to start getting people to write for the Deep Take Project as well. Because there's just so many ways to tell a story. So many ways. It's podcasts, it's videos, it's reporting, it's writing, it's everything. So I want to be able to cover all of that with the Deep Take Project.
What I found from and I've been doing this for 3 years now,
That's amazing.
is at first it was just like a it was basically the first original story was this French girl, young girl, about 21. She was upset with her British boyfriend who didn't want to go home with her, and she was homesick, and she kind of came on to me, and I just told it as a jokey kind of thing, and blah blah blah. And then over the time I found more on my feet, more of a grounding, because what's happened is where I've interviewed people about their career, about their job, and I'm thinking, right, why am I doing this? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, other people can benefit from hearing their story.
Yeah.
Someone might want to be a journalist
In the same
and-
career or something. Yeah.
Right.
And then they, so I ask them I always ask 5 questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't ask them straight away. The comfortable question is like, what were you like as a child?
Yeah.
And they memorize. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if they're comfortable, they relax, and they get into that environment. This is okay. There's nothing wrong. And then they start. And as it goes on deeper, because you go from that journey from child, school, secondary school, what was going on in their mind, boyfriend, girlfriend, did they know what they want to be? How did they find their route, provide, and into the career after the higher education, and then, marriage, or have it, wherever they are. And then you say there's key questions like, what did you know now that you wish you knew when you
Yeah.
when you were younger?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you see what I mean? And everyone said that's a really good question.
Yeah, it is very good.
And then there's other things like, what does the future hold for you? So you're rounding up,
Yeah.
and I just feed off them. So whatever they're throwing in there, I just feed off them.
Yeah.
And it can be quite difficult at times, because some people may struggle, and also I'm focusing on the road.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, that is really hard to navigate.
One or two times where I've kind of got a brain thing, and the guy goes, "Don't worry, I see what you're doing is great, and I can see you're really trying to navigate. So
Yeah.
don't worry."
Yep.
And that was good, because it's nice that you can acknowledge that there's an art in what I'm trying to do.
Right.
At the same time, it is like, it's like you need to be as professional as you can be
Mhm.
and master your art. And the other
Definitely.
things are where people, why I'm telling you all this is when I started off, it was audio only,
Mhm.
and I've never done video per se. I've only put video, that's why I've got these brackets here.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if I'm doing a live, I put the bracket here and it's facing the road, and I'm just commenting on the road or whatever's going on in thing. If I'm doing an interview, I turn this, or a vlog, I turn this bracket up here on the right hand side, and these are just for work. These two down, it's a bit of a control station. But the point is, I've only done the video a couple of times, because I don't want to be fiddling around, and they got cameras that now detect when you touch your phone, and they send you a ticket to your house.
Yo.
Don't need all that. And
Yeah.
this camera here works. This is AI, so it works with all the cars since 2004 have an electronic computer unit in there.
Oh,
So
wow.
if I pick up this phone, they'll send me a text saying put it on the phone.
Okay.
Mandated to have in the.
Yeah,
Huh.
having these
Wow.
things with the company I use a car for.
Wow.
Gotcha.
But try not to deviate.
Mhm.
What I've realised is that when it's like late night and I'm driving, people, because it's dark and I don't see their faces,
Right.
they get in. I'm a big guy, I'm not worried about security.
Mhm.
I say their name sometimes, and I just start driving.
Yeah.
So we get talking, and what I found, they really awfully, so they talk about powerful experiences that some girl was raped,
Mm.
a guy, somebody who's had child abuse as a children, somebody guy who's talked about how he's adopted and his whole process and all these different things, and you can't, to get a camera on them to do that.
It changes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I did do, because I don't know, Spotify do video now.
Oh, I didn't actually know that.
Oh, really?
Maybe they do it after you've got a certain amount of episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so I've got loads of episodes. So it's not. I think about 4 or 5 months after Joe Rogan got his, they changed for Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They said for people probably with a lot of content.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Opened it up. That's cool.
So what I've done is recorded journeys of London, and I just put the audio over that journey, and then off it goes.
That works.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
like you're sitting in the car,
Mhm.
someone's confessing or whatever. But all why I tell you this is because video's good,
Mhm.
but audio,
Yeah.
when it captures your imagination of what they feel the person, and it's also kind of, I think the term would be indiscriminate, because you're not looking at, is this person white, are they black, short, are they fat, or whatever. You're just hearing a voice.
Yeah.
And I try to promote that.
Yeah.
to
I love that.
defeat people's bias.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I've had instances where I had one of my most popular vlogs is me telling a story of some drug addict. But you wouldn't realise they were actually from Bangladesh.
Wow.
And they're British born, but they're Bangladeshi. Because no one pictured their culture having drug problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't state that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just told the story.
Yeah, that's
Do you
incredible.
see what I mean? So people, you know, and then I had loads of people apologising to say, because they said, oh, I used to be on drugs,
Yeah.
and I called many a taxi driver haven't. I know that, so I apologise.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, you know, it's an interesting one.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
No, I love that.
I would just consider that
Mhm.
when you're, do you really, because if you really want to get that in depth, you
Yeah,
can get a photo of them at the end. I always take a photo. Like,
for
at the
sure.
end of this podcast, I'd take a photo of you and them too. It's another thing. If someone said, "Oh, you did that without my knowledge," really, you gave me the details in the book.
Yeah.
Your handwriting, and we had a photo together.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on, really.
yeah.
It's that kind of thing, but you know.
No, I think that's great. That's a really great point, though. It's like, you know, all biases dissolve when it's just the voice,
Yeah, it's so true.
just audio.
Yeah.
One thing too for this format, I feel like you might not get as many people that are either open to doing it because they didn't expect, you know, to be on video, and they're gonna feel like, oh, I'm not presented well enough right now, and might not want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I think the biggest one, like you said though, is just people are probably gonna open up more and be willing to tell a story they might not have if their face and video and everything was attached to it. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, when it's late at night, early hours of the morning, or whatever, and it's pitch black, and someone hands you hand someone a mic or whatever, they can barely see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm black, so it's black and black, but
Yeah.
they can barely. And so for some reason, I find they just want to confess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just want to feel safe.
Yeah, they want to talk whatever things and stuff. And a lot of people, I don't know how it is for you, when they get into the taxi, they treat it like a therapy session. They don't realise they're doing it.
Yeah.
Usually it goes like this. I say, oh, how's your day going? And they go,
Yep.
and then off they go. And then
Yeah.
or they just say, oh, it's not good. And you say, oh, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And they go off,
Yeah.
and tell you about their husband or this thing or that woman's crazy or
Right,
what
right.
I do,
Yeah.
and all these kind of things. But look, I don't want to steal the show.
No, this is great. No, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things I wanted to say that I felt like really resonated, and what I liked about her Deep Take project was the conversations that heal. And it's really, we're walking up to people on the street and asking them just, you know, any questions or a series of questions. But the whole goal is to have somewhat of a therapy session. Like, obviously, you know, we're not licensed therapists, but you don't need to be a licensed therapist to just ask someone how their day's going, listen to them, and then yeah, and it's just healing to just speak about your life and things that are going on, you know. So, and just have a moment to reflect on something like that.
There was a vlog done the other day, and this guy walks up to people and he says, "Tell me one thing about you that people don't know that you think they should know." And he's a British guy, but his mum, when he's like 8 years old or 10 years old, took him to Skids Road in America and just left him there.
Oh my gosh.
And he said he looked for her for a couple of hours, realised he couldn't find her, then went to a homeless shelter. They said he's too young, he can't stay there. And he said obviously there's lots of mad people and all crazy people out there.
Yeah.
And then they found some children's home, but some kind of police got involved in care and all this stuff and what have you. But he said his thing was a positive message that don't worry about that. I've never seen my mum again since. Don't worry about that. You just basically it's just looking positive thing. It really hit me, and I thought, you know, I need to interview this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did it. I don't know why I didn't. I'm not sure if I saved it. You know, even with TikTok you can save things.
Oh yeah.
But it was like a powerful thing. So I was adopted as well.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
was in care for 6 months, so it really resonated with me.
Absolutely.
And I admired his attitude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I plan to do also, so I've had quite a few people who've been fostered or adopted, is interview, just do a season of lots of people being adopted or fostered.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's like someone who's same-sex couple or different race or whatever, just to get different aspects.
Exactly.
And you can ask key questions.
Yep.
And then just put that out there.
Yep.
And to see, just like that.
Yeah, I would like to ask you our question that we've been asking people on the street.
Go on then.
You ready for that?
Yeah.
So, who in your life do you miss and why? And what would you want to say to them?
I think the two people I miss, and I say two people, my dad and my granddad, and that's my birth father and my birth granddad, because I looked after my granddad and I was very close. I didn't realise how close I was to my granddad thing, but my birth father I miss because there was a wealth of knowledge that left him. And granted, he did fight to have me, but my mum, being the kind of woman she was, she said it's because she is mentally ill, but I said no, you're just a horrible person. And she never has a response to that. Lots of people have told me that, oh, she's mad or she's mentally ill, whatever, she can't help it. But I said no. Because from when I was born, from when I was 6 months, I had rickets. I didn't get breastfed, and she only fed me dry cornflakes. But basically, I was dying slowly, and I became deformed. I should be a lot bigger. And I say to her, but you didn't starve yourself.
Yeah.
She can't answer that.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, don't tell me about mum being mentally ill or whatever, because she's not.
Yeah.
And I believe this strongly with most people in life, they just give up. And even suicide is the ultimate form of giving up.
Yeah.
I did a vlog the other day, and I'll come back to your question more in depth. But life is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You've got ups, you met somebody on Tinder, that's great. Sadness, somebody leaves you or someone dies.
Yeah.
That's the dips. You've got the loops where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere in life.
Yeah.
This is mundane. Yeah. And you've got the twists and turns where you're not sure which way life is going, but it's going fast.
Yep.
Yeah. But the most thing you do, you hang on. Because the roller coaster never stops.
Yeah.
And you're never going to be in one situation forever.
Right. So complicated.
So just allow that situation to learn from that situation, get stronger, and move on. Because it's moving on with you.
Yep.
Make the best decision at the best time for what you know how.
Yep.
With the cards that you've been dealt in that present moment, because those cards are always changing. The dealer's always handing out new cards, and you're always dropping new cards. And quite a few people were quite happy with that analogy. I spoke to an American couple there. I said, I really like that analogy of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
But no, that's how I see it. It's not about giving up. It's not about a thing. But yeah, I would. There's so much I could have learned from my father. He was very entrepreneurial. He had his own businesses. He had villas in Spain and doing all these things.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So, that would have been that really. And my grandfather is just because, you see your ancestors as one. So your father and your grandfather. But definitely my father in that sense.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of them in you?
That's a good question. I suppose so. None of us were very academic. I may have a degree, but I couldn't really read for nothing, love nor money. My granddad virtually couldn't read. But this is all the traits of slavery.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? When I was in the military, what they told us is that the time you spend on tour fighting and the time you spend preparing to go on tour is exactly the same time it's going to take you to get back to normal, minimum, because that's what they've worked out. So if you think of that and you put that in the analogy of the whole slave trade and 300 years, now 20 years is a generation, so that's 30 generations, and then not obviously you've got the era afterwards where you still be mistreated and whatever,
Yeah.
Things like, I know, for instance, in America, for 2 years, the slaves weren't told they were free.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know
The
what I
whole
mean?
story of Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think about all those kind of things, and then you can see, I can see easily why my granddad didn't read too well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my grandma dealt with all the money.
Mm-hmm.
He worked. He gave her money. He was actually a taxi driver.
Oh wow.
He gave
That's
her money.
awesome.
He gave her all the money, and then she'd give him some money for some beer, and he'd go play dominoes.
Yeah.
But he was at peace. He's all right with that.
Yeah.
My dad, he was just bad with handling money, but then that goes for lots of people. Loads of people in life.
Yeah.
Loads of people are not, it's not their strongest point, handling money.
Mm-hmm.
In that respect. Yeah. In that way of things. But yeah, it's an interesting. Life's a journey, isn't it?
It is.
Life's a journey.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to say too, the second part of the question, if you could say something to them now, what would it be?
I think I'd say to my dad, I tried, and I'm not giving up. I tried, and he told me to keep my siblings together, but it's been hard
Yeah.
because we didn't all grow together. As we're getting older, we kind of they're kind of realising things, but I spend so much time trying to phone them up, see how they are, blah blah blah, and someone's not. You can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink.
Yep.
They're not
Mhm.
interested for whatever bit of reason. But I'm not giving up. But it is kind of, it's like flogging a dead horse.
Yeah. It's starting to weigh on you.
Well, I think it's common sense is like this. If you're doing something and it's not giving you desired effect, then what do? You just take a break.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You spend your own time, your own energy with yourself,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then like that really.
And I feel like with people too, a lot of the time, that time that is like you're taking a break from it gives them time, and they'll start to think and realize, he really was trying to get us back together, and I really appreciate what he's been trying to do. And then it's almost like if you love it, leave it, let it go, and it'll come back. I totally messed up the saying, but I think you know the saying I'm talking about. Yeah.
People appreciate things when they're gone or when it's also maturity as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not maturity because maturity seems a bit belittling.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more life experience. You
Yeah.
get different. You meet a stage.
Mm-hmm.
So if things just align.
Yeah.
A bit like you two, you met. You said
Mm-hmm.
about your relationship. Well, I'm happy to date, or I don't mind seeing something. I'd like to have something seriously, and then it works. And
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Well, there's only so many things a roller coaster can do. So after you've been on it for so long, you start to notice, certain things about it, and you start to get how the ride works, and that it is always going to keep moving and always changing. So cherish what you have while you have it, and make the most of it.
I was asked do you miss me? And my response to that, which is factual in my eyes, but some people may get upset about it, is I appreciate people while I'm with them.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, why am I going to worry about missing somebody?
Yeah. Exactly.
That time's passed.
Yep.
Yeah.
What the thing is now is, you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with in the future, and you're just moving along.
Yeah. Just try to be fully present.
Yeah.
There's a funny saying in what is it, Kung Fu Panda? The past is history, the future's a mystery, but the present is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I'm definitely in a phase in my life where I'm trying to accept that life is always going to be a roller coaster. And what's interesting, and I think I was telling you this yesterday, is that when I was 20, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on it. It's just like as time has gone by, I've just realized there's so much more I don't know, and I feel like I'm getting younger as time goes on.
Yeah.
And that's really the reality of it, is that there is so much that I don't know, and that's okay.
Yep.
And life is complicated.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson speaks he said one, Jordan Peterson?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says about speak speak to someone as if they know something you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's something that is very interesting, because you have to remind yourself. So even if you've gone through the same experience as them, they may take away something different from it than you do.
The perspective is different, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was listening to this guy, he's a South African guy. He listened to an interview between Oprah Winfrey and Michelle Obama, and I don't really look at them greatly in those two women, but what she pointed out was very true. She said a lot of people nowadays feel that their life needs to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And he said, this was the South African guy was saying, where did that come from? Because if you look at history, life is tough for everybody.
Everywhere you go, no matter what age.
Even if you get to the king, you're having to be. There's people scheming to take your place.
All the
Yeah.
time.
You know,
The
you're
Game of Thrones.
dodging the landlord, the lord of the manor, because he wants to take your harvest, or you've got warlords or other people, bandits and stuff. But life's always hard. But you just enjoy the moments you can, and you deal with the situations as they are, and that thing. And I think it's where it goes back to what Jordan Peterson says. The Buddhists say life is suffering. And if you look at the nations now, and this is quite controversial or debatable, who take life as suffering as general, they are progressing the most.
That's an interesting point.
Something about the acceptance of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just getting on with it. If you look at the Western world, we've had things very comfortable for quite some time. So now we've got to talk about things that don't really matter on the political international things. Or not, maybe don't matter, but it's not a priority.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's like, am I a girl, am I a boy? Is that a priority? When we've got kids, when we've got Skid Row, do you see what I mean? And when we've got uneducated thing, and we've got all these issues, is it really a priority? And there's so many different things that it's like, okay, wherever you want to be, you are. Let's move on. Let's go and do something that really matters.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Not belittling other people's situations, but you can say what really helps the whole society.
Yeah.
There was a paper written where in England, the English national mental health was at its strongest. At what time do you think that was? When was our mental health the strongest?
The strongest?
I don't know enough about the history out here to say or even make a guess.
Okay. It was during the Blitz in the Second World War.
No way.
Huh.
And I'll explain why.
Because it united everyone for a cause?
Everybody knew what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Nobody was worrying about trivial things.
Everyone
That's
knew
so
their
true.
role.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you look at them, I know America's more of an adolescent country, but if you look at America's situation, you're 9/11.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the same page in your country.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Regardless of what other countries had their opinion about, whether it
Yeah.
was or whatever, everybody was on the same flag.
It's
But
true.
I was in America a week later, and I saw nothing but your blue, red, and white flags, and everybody's patriotic and all the rest of.
Yeah, it's so true.
So, so when you look at those situations, to me it makes sense.
Yeah, it
and
does.
It's having a purpose.
Yeah.
Think about it, a lot of soldiers, a lot of homeless people are soldiers, ex-soldiers.
Absolutely.
Now, why do you think that? It's there because they've left and haven't got a purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the military, you're told what to do all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you have that sense of purpose.
You may be drunk, you may get in scraps, you may be disciplined, but you know you're part of a team.
Yep.
Yeah, you messed up, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's got a purpose.
Yeah, it's so true.
But people don't have a purpose, they lose it. And this is why, like even in my mum's case, I look at it, well, you may say, or the doctor may say, or you may agree that you're mentally ill, but you had a purpose, and that purpose was me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you didn't pull yourself together.
To get through it in the best way you could, yeah.
That's what do you say in your movies? He survived by his wife and children.
Yeah.
in your movies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing you lot are really good at with your Hollywood movies.
Mm,
That
that's true.
entertainment. Even though the Korean movies are better script, but you lot are good at your John Wick entertainment.
Yep.
Yeah, and stuff. Yeah, but, yeah, that's just what it is. What would you say in relation to that question? What person that you'd want to?
It's
That's
easy
so
for
easy
her.
to me.
Yeah.
So, I miss my grandmother Amelia. She practically raised me. I spent a lot of time with her because my parents are always working. But she was a journalist in the Philippines, so I grew up to the sound of the typewriter. And that impacted me so tremendously. And she also was one of the first person that ever saw me, like truly saw me. And that was a pretty big deal. So I miss her so much, and I talk to her every day. And yeah, I really don't know what I would say to her. I just wish that I could get just a minute with her.
Do you think she truly saw you because of the nature of her job? Because as a journalist, you have to bring out.
Yeah, you really have to hold space for people. I think so. I think that was a part of it.
And the other question is, do you think the fact that you want to be a journalist is to maintain that connection?
Yes. I was talking to him about
She's
this the
known
other
that,
day,
yeah.
and I was crying, and I was like, I wonder if that's the reason why I've took on this path, is because it's my way of staying connected to her. And I think it's true. I also feel very strongly about being a journalist and storytelling, but I also think it's because that's my way of staying close to her. Yeah, I've been dreaming about her a lot lately too. Yeah, my last dream, she said to me that she'll always be with me. So it's whenever I'm feeling like I'm lost or, coming off my path, I always think about just the image of her is what keeps me grounded. So, and that's also the reason why I started this project, is because I think that she saw me and she held space for me. So I believe that that's what, it's important that we do that for each other, is just hold space and be curious about each other. That's the one thing I think is missing, is just curiosity. We see someone on the street and then we just make assumptions about them. When really, what happens if you just sit? You just sit in the uncomfortability and ask them questions. And so what if it's an answer that, you weren't expecting or you don't agree with? Just sit in it. Sit in the uncomfortable stuff for just a second. And then you realize just how close we actually are.
Mm-hmm.
What I was actually going to vlog about. I've got a black book where I write down things to vlog about. I've got about 15 things I'm trying to do bulk content now.
Yeah.
Schedule it to go out so I can just kind of forget about it for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And what it was, are you listening things
Hmm.
to people who you don't agree with?
Yeah.
And why I say that is because in the Western world, everybody's on this thing that they must be happy, and everything they hear must be right and according to what they believe. But I actually stop and I make a point to listen to people who I don't necessarily agree with and try and hear them out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I do that on the podcast platforms because, one, there's an art to listening if you can do that. And the other thing is, you need to learn to understand people.
Yeah, that's
even if you don't
huge.
agree with them.
It's
So you can
huge.
turn to them and say, listen, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you, but I understand why you come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you can debate like that, or you can say that to somebody genuinely, and you can see within your eyes and your tone of voice, whether you generally took that time and energy to hear them, then you can actually allow to have that civil disagreement. You say, well, yeah, I hear your point of view, but I don't agree with you either. Oh, okay, that's okay. So we're going to have a drink now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather where, using America as an example, where because someone likes Trump and someone likes Biden, they're arch enemies.
Mm.
Do you
And
see what I
won't
mean?
speak with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous.
So
Yeah,
polarized.
Yeah, you're thinking. I was asked market research, which way do I vote? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, are you conservative or liberal Democrat kind of thing? And I said, well, it depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I said, if it comes to prostitutes and drugs, for instance, I'm liberal as long as it's people over 25,
Yeah.
because your decision-making part of your brain doesn't fully develop to the age of 25, and you haven't tried life yet.
Yeah.
So to throw your life away and make life-changing decisions, you know, if you're going to go into prostitution, and then now, how hard is it going to be for you to get married later on in life? That pops up. That
Yeah.
could be instant divorce.
Right.
Yeah.
If your partner finds out.
Yeah.
The list just goes on.
Yeah.
So she goes, oh yeah, I see what you mean. But to me, I just saw that as common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's been asking that question to how many people on the phone, and people say, well, I'm conservative.
This or that,
Well,
yeah.
that's what, you're conservative on everything? I'm
Exactly.
Sure, you're not, and you're certainly not liberal on everything.
Right.
Because
That's
people,
true.
I've had feminists in the car. People say they're feminists, and they say, when I'm telling them a story, let's say about, there's this really sad story about a lady, I'm not sure, I think, was it a prostitute or call girl, something along that lines anyway. And she'd come in the car, she'd been drinking, she started talking to me, telling her story. And basically, her story, she had one of 5 children. When she was a baby, she was living in some rural place in Ireland, and her father just left the mum with 2 born new children and like 3 and
other
5 years.
kids.
So they're all girls, and like the power run out and everything. And wow, like, how could you do that? And now obviously the mum struggled. She had to come to London and sort herself out. So she made her way all the way from there on her own with all her children and newborn baby. What kind of man does that?
Yeah.
To me, I only believe in the death penalty for paedophiles, but for that kind of behaviour, you're very close to
Very
this.
close,
Right.
yes.
Yeah,
Very, very damn
right
close.
Because I don't
Yeah.
understand, because those girls need to be protected more than boys. Yeah, and that's not like a sexist thing to say, oh, they're more weak or whatever. Obviously, they're more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, boys need to be nurtured a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thing to show
Yes.
that, listen, you don't have to be angry at the world. We don't want Napoleons and
Exactly.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Because all those emperors were
Were
all brought
not
up,
nurtured as
they're all
boys.
brought up by their mum only.
Yep.
If you look at history.
Yep.
Do you understand? So we know we
Yep.
need a balance
Yep.
in that respect. But I was just like,
Yeah.
and I heard us, I've deviated so much, and I can't remember why I'm telling you the story, but I heard her story, and I really felt for her. It got me very angry as well.
Yeah.
But the point was, I could listen, hear her story. I understood why she's in the prostitution game.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
didn't agree with it.
Right.
I don't think it's the thing. Now, when I was telling, oh yeah, that's what it is. When I was telling these other women that, they say, nah, she's good. She's living her best life, and she's, exploring her sexuality. And I'm saying, no, you're not real. I always say, how many prostitutes do you know? And they go, quiet. And I said, exactly. I used to be in the military. I used to work on the ships. When you're on the ships, every time you go ashore, the taxi driver takes you to all the bars where there's just women waiting for you.
Yeah.
Working girls working. I used to talk to them, and they all had one thing in common: they either didn't know their father or they knew their father too well. You understand?
Interesting.
That's not a
Yeah.
coincidence.
Yeah. Not
That's
at
a
all.
pattern.
Father, you're meant to protect your girl children. So when
Yep.
we looked at prostitutes, I always blame the dad.
Yeah.
I don't blame the mum so much, because as mum, you're about nurturing. You can't nurture and be like the hard hand all at the same time. So mums do it, but how well?
It's tough,
Yeah. It's
You
hard.
shouldn't have to do everything yourself.
No.
Yeah, in that thing. So
Yeah, parenting's always supposed to be a 2-person job.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and then I just looked at that and I was like, but it's the art of me learning to listen to people,
Yeah.
understand where they're coming from,
Yeah.
being able to say respectfully and privately. I don't think that's the best thing,
Yeah.
but I kind of wish you well, you know,
Yeah.
in that respect.
Yeah.
Because we've all been the prodigal son at some times. I don't know if you know your Bible. Yeah, we've all
For
been the
sure.
prodigal son
Yeah.
when we've been
Absolutely.
born. I tell my daughter, she's 18, I say to her, you don't have to do what I say because you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I say, you know why you listen to me? Because it's my job to protect and provide for you.
Yeah.
And I must warn you about the dangers in life. So if you want to ignore me, that's your business later on.
Yeah, but at least I gave you the
But
information.
you can't say, Daddy didn't tell me.
Yeah, that's true.
And you see her go quiet. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a light bulb that goes on, but there's also a face of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
That I also get a reminder of that. So when she goes to uni, you do any wild things will get yourself in problems.
That voice is going to be in the back of her
Right,
head. She's like,
yeah.
you know what?
I told you.
Maybe not. Yeah.
And I said to her, if you're going to go on a date with any young guy, you send a picture of the man to your mum first.
I like that.
If he wants to date you or wants to take you out, you say, okay, send me a picture. And say, well, see, so what? So what are you doing that for? I send it. Oh, I'm not interested. Okay, don't worry.
Yeah. Right.
You're not serious.
Yeah, cut
Yeah.
that one clean pretty quick, you know?
Yeah.
You're not serious. You can do that from the start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Also, if there's a problem, the mum knows she sent me a photo, I just go and find it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Saves time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not hard
Yeah.
and stuff.
So I wanted to ask one thing too, because you had mentioned that you had asked her, she got into journalism, and do you think that's, because of her grandmother?
Yeah.
I was thinking that you also mentioned that your grandfather was a taxi driver. Was any thoughts, anything there, or like, did you do it out of inspiration for this, or?
I only just realised. It's only picked to me now that he's a taxi driver.
Oh, in the conversation, that wow, you just pieced that together.
My dad was a builder.
Okay.
My father was a builder.
Yep.
Yeah. And I went into commercial
So you've gone
construction.
both of their paths
I
now.
went into commercial construction, but what I'm doing, because I'm going to go on to other things, I picked this Uber job because it's like allows you time.
Exactly.
So like if I need to stop work or whatever,
You can. Yeah.
and all those kind of things, you know.
Yeah, so in a way you've done both of the professions they've had, but I guess you just didn't even realize that the grandfather one.
They say blood full of vein anyway.
Yeah. Blood's full of vein, I like that.
Yeah, blood follows
Yeah,
veins.
oh,
yeah.
blood follows
Follows
veins.
the vein, innit?
Yeah.
So, it's a natural thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that respect. Who would you talk to?
Who would I talk to?
Talk to
This guy laying on his horn.
Upset.
I don't know that there's anyone specifically, but there's a lot of people that I've lost in my life, like friends from either drug overdose or suicide, and I think I'd like to talk to them just to let them, because I feel like so many of them, like the story you brought up of the prodigal son, feeling like a black sheep or outcast, like I feel like a lot of people get lost in that and feel like they can't pull themselves out of whatever they've fallen into, and they kind of give up in a way. And so those are the people that I would want to talk to in my life, just to let them know that even in the decision and the thing that happened, that there's still value in their life and the person that they are, and that they're accepted for it, and we all make mistakes, but you can change at any time, and that there's nothing wrong with what they did, and the way they chose to live their life.
But would you honestly say there's nothing wrong?
So, not that I guess the wording there is probably not right. What I'm trying to say is that you can always find forgiveness, and
you can come back.
you can always come back from it. Yeah. So there were things wrong, or maybe decisions that they made that, if they had the chance to make it again, would have gone differently. But what I meant by that was, just a point of you can always change and seek forgiveness. And not that there wasn't anything wrong, but at the same time, when it comes to the drugs, I feel like there's a lot of stigma around, governments and things saying that you can't do these things, that it's illegal. And I don't necessarily agree with those. I feel that we have autonomy of our own bodies, and we can choose to put in them what we want.
I've never smoked or drank in my life, and I've never done recreational drugs.
Okay.
I tasted alcohol as a child, so I was told to, and I didn't like it.
Gotcha.
But why would you do this?
Yeah.
But I share your sentiments in that. I don't see why the government can tell somebody that they shouldn't be taking drugs. Now, I can see this, that in one aspect why the government would say that in the same breath is, if you're a parent and you start taking drugs, we know your children are going to become a problem for society.
Yeah.
So, but do we have that right to tell the parent?
Yeah, and
Because it is a form, argumentatively, as soon as you neglect your child, that's a form of child abuse.
Yeah, right.
well,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, absolutely. I absolutely agree. But I did want to also add in that it's not a guarantee that the person that does drugs, that their children will be a problem for society. It just depends on the individual that's doing the drugs and the reason that they're doing them. Are they doing it to escape their life and to, to just dull down the signals and the noises that are coming at them, or are they doing it from a place of enjoyment and celebration? So alcohol, I feel like, is a really good example. Like, it's legal everywhere, and most societies say this is something that we can do to let loose or have another type of experience. But we limit with all these other drugs and say this one's bad, this one's bad. And I think it really all comes down to information and just telling people what could go wrong with, if you do this too much, or what could happen if you aren't careful with these substances.
So because we can look at history,
Mm-hmm.
we can look at Holland,
Okay.
for example, got lots of drugs, lots of sex,
Yep.
Yeah.
and they're still functioning.
Yeah.
And then we can also look at their culture,
Mhm.
their cultural mindset. And we can look at Portugal now,
Mm-hmm.
where they've accepted that people are going to take drugs, and it's dropped crime drastically.
Exactly.
And you get given drugs.
Yeah.
And then we can go back as far as Hong Kong with opium wars.
Oh, I was to say with opium. Yep.
Opium wars, and
Yep.
how it devastated the whole
Mm-hmm.
empire.
Yeah.
We had to step in and say no, and we all know how the British handled that.
Yep.
But, so there's different times, and we could even look at, in Somalia, they got something called cat or mirror. They chew. And it's this leaf, and it sends you like a zombie. Like you don't need to eat. You start foaming at the mouth. It's all this kind of green.
Oh,
leaf
wow.
thing.
Oh, wow.
Surprised you guys don't know about it, but they start to have to ban it
Gotcha.
because the men don't want to do anything. And obviously
Yeah.
when you've got a culture where the men provide, it causes problems.
Mhm.
They chew it socially.
Got
Now,
it.
if you're chewing it socially, it lasts for 12 hours. You go to sleep, you wake up, you want to do it again.
Yeah.
Now the kids, the mum's complaining, blah blah. Then you want food. The mum hasn't cooked food. You ain't giving her no money and no food. Being now you want to beat her. Now there's problems. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one thing. So I can see partly why the government will step.
I
in.
can see both sides of it too.
and
It's
there's-
really
There's
complicated.
the economy as well.
Yeah.
Government likes tax. Same reason why he's advocate for women working. because
Yep.
get more
You
tax
tax it.
money.
Exactly.
Get more tax money.
Exactly.
Even though it's better off, that I would argue it's better off for mum to, mums, you have some system where you just, for mums who want to stay at home, it's perfectly acceptable. And then obviously you can make that decision when the child's 10 that you're going to go back to work and what have you.
Mhm.
And I think that needs to be catered for. It's not about a case of maximising profit to boost your economy.
Yeah.
You've got to look at, because you're boosting the economy, but crime and things are going up.
Exactly.
Because no one's looking after the kids, no one's guiding, there's no accountability. We know that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
It's like, I had this discussion with my son's mum. She said she wanted to go to work when she's after she had the child. I said, what are you talking about? I said, so that doesn't make sense to me, because you're going to give away our prized possession to strangers to look after so you can go and earn money. I
Yeah.
said, how about you stay at home, look after the child until he can talk, communicate with you. And then if he goes, and then if you want to go do your work or whatever, fair enough.
Yeah.
But this is the prime years. You need to be there all the time, and you need my support all the time. She didn't like it, but then later on what happened, there's something at school, and she said the teacher's saying such and such about him, but she doesn't understand that this is the way he communicates, and he behaves like that when he's having struggling with his words. And I said, see, you wouldn't have known that if you had shipped him off to somebody else.
It's true.
she just went quiet.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
So I guess the question that came up for me is, do you feel that it has to be the mother that does it, or could it just be one parent that does it? Could the father do it?
No, because you know what? Mums are built, most, we're talking the norms, not
Yeah.
the anomalies here.
Yeah.
Most mums are built for that nurture.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Probably in the Filipino culture, if you're in the house, I'll use my example, and there's a man sitting down with a child, and all the women come in the house, what's the first thing they do?
Pick up the baby.
Take it from him like he's incompetent. Even
Yeah.
if he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take it from him like,
Yeah.
do you see what I mean? And then they may even hush him out of the house. Man, I'm going to go for my friend.
I feel like that even happens in American culture
Do you
too.
see what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
true.
reason. It's a natural thing. And, you know, women are emotional. I always used to say, why are women so emotional? And it made perfect sense why God made women emotional. Because you need to be in tune with other people's feelings. Babies.
Yeah.
You need to be able to detect women's intuition.
Even beings
That's
that can't even communicate themselves yet.
You need to be in tune, and you need a higher state of emotion than we need
Yeah.
for you to do that job.
Yeah.
So
My mom's not like that.
Huh?
My dad was the stay-at-home dad. My mom was the breadwinner of the house. And so my mom, she wasn't as emotionally equipped that, yeah, my dad was definitely the one that was more in tune with me. But so my situation's very odd.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not the norm.
It's not the
on
norm.
average.
Yeah, it's not the norm.
But all I'm looking at is like, how do things work? How things work in society. I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast, and there's an anthropologist on this show, and he was very interesting because what he was saying was, from the dawn of time when we used to live on the savannas of Africa, yeah, men would go out and hunt, able-bodied men, let's say 14 and upwards, yeah. And when you're hunting, you may be a predator, but you're also the prey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you learn to be very quiet, self-efficient,
Yeah.
hand signals, gestures, whatever. If you hurt yourself or something, you sort yourself out unless you really need to disturb them for help.
Yeah.
When you do kill the prey, it's all hands to deck. And now bring the prey back, you're still vulnerable because you've got a dead animal.
Almost more
You
vulnerable.
understand? So when you get back to the base, what happens now? You don't unwind straight away. You generally take an hour or so to unwind.
Right.
Now look at that situation. Man goes out to work, typically work in a hostile environment. He may not like the boss, all this politics, blah blah blah. He comes home. He comes home to his wife. He needs an hour to unwind
Yeah.
before she goes and tells him about everything that happened in the day. Now, if you look at what the women were doing back in the day, they would be doing the hut duties, whatever, cleaning, preparing, cleaning up for last night's fire and done.
Making clothes,
Yeah,
craft.
But by midday, they probably finished.
Yeah.
Now what do? They start gossiping,
Socialize,
and talking about each other, and all
have
this
the
other
time to
things.
unwind.
Do you see what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah? And then there's
Yeah, wow.
little drama. I don't really like it. Now, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that same kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of people say, I even hear women say, I don't want to work with women at work. I don't want a woman boss. Because it's just emotions and there's gossip and problems.
Yeah.
Men, I hear a lot of women say men boss are just easy to deal with. Obviously, I'm talking the norm. You do
Yeah, like on average,
not-
yeah.
Yeah, of
You
course.
do
Yeah.
get some men are terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a few of them.
Yeah.
On average,
But,
yeah.
That's the thing, and to me, I look at it, that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's something, remember, 20 years is a generation. How many years we've been on the place of the earth as human beings?
That we know
Yeah,
of.
it was. Last time I heard it, 78,000 years. Aborigines are the oldest
Yeah.
civilization in that sense. Yeah. There's a lot of generations.
It's a lot of
That's
generations.
natural. That's
Yeah.
a natural thing. It's a bit like if your dad's a doctor, you kind of have things you stray towards that industry because you naturally kind of good at it.
Familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah.
You've had more exposure to it.
Yeah, and all those kind of things, you know. Keep me honest, I'm just doing all the talking, eh?
This is good.
This
Yeah,
is
this is
good.
really good.
I think that him and I, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think about this often because I grew up with a mother who was the breadwinner of the house and a father who was a little bit more feminine and was more nurturing.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly thinking about how that shows up in our relationship and which roles are, which roles we're taking on and where we feel comfortable and where we want to be. And I've already expressed this to you. Like,
Yeah, we've talked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something? So go ahead.
No, I mean, for me, I think that I'm always trying to be more feminine because I think for a long time, like, being more masculine was my way of, like, being safe in the world. Plus, it's what was shown to me.
Yeah.
My mother, the strong woman that took care of the house.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to unravel that for myself because I understand that we're not in those times anymore. And I can feel safe as a feminine woman and can take on that role.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
It absolutely is okay. And I feel like one of the things that's also been challenging for you is that's true, but then also, like, there's an age gap. I'm 8 years older than her, and so she's at a point in her life where it's a very critical point in her career, still trying to build her career and get to a certain point where I've, settled a little bit more down, and I've got, I've had the job for 6 years now, and I'm comfortable in it. So I'm at a point now where, like, I feel okay and comfortable in my masculinity to be the one that is, taking more of the back seat and letting her, like, moving to the LA is something that she would be doing for her job, but I can still keep my job from there. And, like, I feel like a lot of guys in today's day and age, my leg is totally cramping right now. No, we're good. Oh. That's so funny. I guess I need to drink some more water. But as I sit in this very feminine pose and rest on top of her, I was just saying that, no, I feel that it's a constant struggle. So you have what you've seen growing up was a strong woman and the father that's more nurturing, and that's more comfortable for you. And you also have, like, this, like, I don't know, it's like juxtaposition of wanting that because it's what's comfortable for you, but then also not wanting, like, the standard, which is, the man providing and, like, you being the stay-at-home mom. And so it's like you're kind of torn in between the two, like, what you grew up with and what you've seen, and then what society's been has been the norm in society for, who knows, all of time that humans have been around.
Yeah.
And just kind of standing in the middle and thinking, like, which way do I want this to go? Which way, what life do I need to choose? Or what do I want,
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Yeah.
Do you think it is?
Yeah.
You know why I ask you that? Because where I think, and this isn't in relation personally to you two, but when I look at that, I was explaining to someone the other day, we all have destinies of what we're going to do in life. I know as a man, I'm going to be working probably to the day I die. And society would probably expect me to work to the day I die.
Right.
Right. So I've got quite a few children and all that and that kind of thing. I know their mums could take a break when they want it, and no one's going to say, "Why aren't you working?"
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, you've done your job. If you want to rest, you're okay."
That's true.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, but I also look at it like this, and this is what I explained to my daughter, who's 18. I said to her, "Baby girl," she said she wants to be a pilot, and I said, "Okay, that's great." Then she said she wanted to be an orthodontist. So I said, "Okay." So I'm rushing around finding people who are pilots or orthodontists.
Yeah.
So I did. She said, "Dad, I think I'm going to be an orthodontist instead of a pilot." And I think, after all that work I've done. But jokes aside, what I did think about, okay, it's not about you, it's not about Dad, you're not living your dreams with her. She needs to do what she wants to do. But then I said to her, "Okay, baby girl, how many children do you want to have?" She said, 4. I said, "Assuming you want to marry somebody with an agricultural background, you've got to consider that you may have to take some considerable period of time away from work."
Yeah.
Say 8 years with 4 children?
That's not gonna. A man from our culture is not gonna accept you going off, saying you're going to work and coming back 3 days later, and leaving him with the kids. That's not.
Yeah, right.
It's not. It's gonna do. It's challenging his masculinity and all the rest of it. It's just not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to decide what's more important to you: your family or a career. Keeping in mind, there's many women in their late 40s and 50s who are unhappy, single and unhappy. Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Yep.
They had a great career,
Right.
but no one wants to date them or took them seriously because of that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a career, but you've also got to accept that if you do want to have children, which is why we're on the planet to reproduce, you can argue, that there's going to be a period of time in your life, whether you're in your 20s or your 30s, that you're going to have to say, I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm focusing on. You're nurturing them, you're doing that thing. And in that time, obviously, when she chose for orthodontists, I said, that works better for what I'm hearing from you. Because what you can do, Daddy will help you own the dentist. Now, you don't go to work until you've dropped the kids to school.
Yeah.
And you don't come home, you finish work when you think. So your days are shorter for what, the next 5 years or 6 years, do you understand? And then as the kids get to 8, 10, and they're at school all day or whatever, now you can be going full into your thing. But that's not a bad thing, because your priority should be your family, regardless. And it's just so that the Almighty made you the female and gave you the beauty of reproducing.
Yeah.
And as long as you've got them good man who's going to look after you, don't let no one tell you that's a bad thing. And don't feel that you must be like these power career women, because they're not necessarily, a lot of them, you hear a lot of them not really happy.
Yeah, it's
Do you
true.
understand? And when they get in the car here, when they get in the car and I'm talking to them,
Yeah, they just let it all go. Let it all hang.
we hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.